Hello everyone, today I'm going to be sharing with you a recipe for pad thai, which is a very popular noodle dish in Thailand. It's street food there. Most people think it's a very traditional recipe. It's not. It was actually created in the 1930s. Pad thai means stir-fried noodles. This is a dish you will find at almost any Thai restaurant in India because it's so popular. It's a great dish to make at home because you can adjust it to your tastes. You can make it veg, non-veg, you can make it vegan. There's also a great deal of different ingredients you can add to it. If you're vegetarian, you can add more vegetables. If you're non-vegetarian, you can add chicken as well as shrimp, which is what we're going to do today. Now, it takes quite a few ingredients, but they're very simple ingredients that are easily available. The first ingredient I want to talk about, which is the most important, that is the noodle. This is known as cellophane noodles, it's known as glass noodles, or simply as pad thai noodles. So what I'm going to do is, here I have a pot of boiling hot water. I'm just going to soak these noodles in there, just like that. And I'm going to leave them soaking in there for a while, maybe about 5 to 7 minutes until they get soft enough to eat. You don't actively need to cook these, right? So let's put this aside and wait until they're ready. And meanwhile, we can cook the rest of the ingredients for the pad thai. So now that the noodles are soaking, I'm going to start off with all the other ingredients for the pad thai. I'm going to put the flame on high. And we're going to start off by pouring some oil. I'm using peanut oil, but if you have an allergy to peanuts, then use another oil like just a regular refined vegetable oil, and omit the peanuts, of course, that go in as a garnish. So let's start off by putting in this vegetable oil. I'm going to start by adding the green onion bulb. I'm going to add to this garlic. Plenty of garlic. We like garlic with desis. Some red Thai chilies. You can omit the chilies if you like. Give this a good stir. Let it get nice and fragrant. Now you know, pad thai is street food in Thailand. It's not a fancy food. It's a food meant for people to fill their tummies. A one-pot dish that's meant to provide you with everything you need. So I'm cooking this up here. Into this, I'm now going to add my chicken. If you're vegetarian, omit the chicken. If you're using chicken, just cut them into really small pieces. You want it to spread around with the rest of the noodles really well. And let this cook on high heat. And while this is cooking, I'm going to prepare the sauce for the pad thai noodles. This is soy sauce over here. Take a look. And into this, I'm going to put a fair bit of tamarind paste, what we call imli paste here in India, chins in Marathi. And this you have to add really to taste, okay? Depends how sour you want it, how sweet you want it. Now, I'm going to be adding to this date palm sugar. You can use regular gur also, or just brown sugar. If you're diabetic, then use stevia or something instead. And I'm going to mix this all up into a nice smooth paste. Here's the date palm sugar which I've crushed. In Thailand, you can buy them like in cubes mostly. That's how I saw them in the markets there. But here you can buy it powdered, you can buy it whole also. Remember, when we say palm sugar, I mean date palm, I don't mean coconut palm. So I'm mixing this up real nice. This will be sweet and spicy and sour. Spicy because I use the Thai chilies. But pad thai is not really a very spicy dish. Now we want the chicken to be fully cooked. Now I'm going to add the veggies, some green beans, carrot. Now I'm also going to add some bean sprouts, sprouted moong. You can use a lot of these, especially if you're vegetarian. It's great protein. It's really healthy for you. And adds a nice crunch to the dish. Now while this is stir frying, what I'm going to do is work with the eggs a little bit, right? Now for this, I'm going to whisk these together. And to this, I'm going to add just a little bit of my shrimp stock. And I'm going to reserve this for right at the end. Okay? Adding a little bit of liquid to the eggs makes it kind of crunchy when it cooks up. You know that lacy effect you get with Parsi lacy cutlets? Now to this, I'm going to add that sauce we had prepared with tamarind, with the date palm sugar and the soy sauce. Give this a good stir. I'm going to add my shrimp to it, all of it. This is already cooked. That's why I'm adding it afterwards, because I don't want to overcook the shrimp. Give this a good stir too. Now while this is bubbling away, I'm going to get our noodles out. Okay? They were just soaking in hot water. They were not actively being cooked. They were just being soaked. You don't want to actively cook bean noodles, cellophane noodles, because they get really mushy. So here we are. I'm just draining them out on the side here. Let me show them to you. See, they're still steaming, but they're done, right? So let's add this here. If there's a little liquid in them, that's fine. You need it for the noodles anyway to make them moist. Now let's start to toss. Toss them all like this. Now there's one last ingredient I'm going to be adding. Normally this is added to the soy sauce as well as the tamarind mix, but I kept it separate. This is fish sauce because not everybody likes it. If you're vegetarian, just use a little bit more of the soy sauce, but it brings a certain kick. It heightens the flavors of the pad thai. So I'm adding some. See, I'm using shrimp, so fish sauce is like perfectly fine. But in case you are allergic to shrimp and are not using any kind of fish product, just omit it. Now let's get all these goodies in there, nicely mixed up. Look at that. You've got vegetables in there, you've got shrimp in there, you've got like all the world's goodies in there. Now to this I'm going to be adding whole chives. If you have Chinese chives, even better, but if you can't find those chives, it's fine. If you don't have chives, that's fine too. Use the stems of green onions. I'm going to add all these in here. These will wilt as they cook in the heat of the noodles. It's important that you get the noodles well coated in all the sauce and all the spices. That's why a pair of tongs is really useful. It's much better than using a spoon. This is what the noodles look like once they're coated in all the spices. The noodles are just moist, but they're all separate. They should not be mushy, which is why you only soak them in hot water. You don't cook them. See, these are all well coated. All the chives have sort of wilted in the heat of the noodles. And we're ready to now put the final garnishes on, including the egg and the peanuts and the other green garnishes. To this, I'm going to add some of the fresh chopped green scallion stems. I'm going to save a few to scatter on top once we plate the dish. I'm also going to add some fresh coriander and save the rest to garnish with later on top. I'm going to add the peanuts, not all. Again, I'm going to save some to garnish on top. And I'm going to give this a nice mix again. If you feel at any point that your noodles are a little dry, add some of the stock you have just to moisten it. And of course, taste your dish. Once you've plated it, it's much harder to add more soy sauce, tamarind or salt. So here we are. Now we have the last thing to do for this dish, which is the egg. I've whisked together 2 eggs here with a little bit of the shrimp stock. If you're using vegetable stock, that's fine. You can also use water, that's fine too. I've done this because then when you fry these on high heat, they get a little bit crispy and sort of lacy, like you know the lacy cutlets that the Parsis make, like that. So I'm heating a little bit of oil here. I want it to get very hot. Okay. Spread it around a little bit like this. I'm going to add this to it. So here is the ready pad thai. Take a look. It's nice and steaming. And to this, I'm going to add a final garnish of some more peanuts. And I'm going to add some more of this lovely green onion stalks that I chopped up. And also some fresh cilantro on top. And we are all ready to go. I'm going to try some. Look at this. Shrimp in it, chicken in it, and It's really flavorful. Taste this. Yum. Noodles are perfectly cooked. You get a bite of veggies, some of that fried egg, all the lovely flavors of the tamarind and the soy sauce, and those fresh green condiments, herbs on top. Absolutely delightful dish. Please do make it. It's a one-pot meal. Your family gets everything they need in one dish, and you can make it and eat it over a couple of days.